The studio got so much to try and get through today. It's a packed show. There was a game last night, of course, though. Man City beat Everton, went back to the top of the Premier League table. What did you make of that performance, Tim?
Back to the top, Man City, as I expected, and the game was so comfortable for them. You know, going into the 45th minute, one added on, they score a goal. It's a great time to score a goal. Don't get me wrong, but at no stage, Matt, did I ever feel like Everton were going to do Liverpool a favour.
They've been in bad form, Everton, though. And we'll talk about them a little bit later. They've been in bad form. You'd
expect them to lose, but it was so comfortable for Man City. They're relentless at the moment. They are like a speed train out of control, Man City.
Let's have a look at the goals then from the game last night.
We made a good minutes the first half. The second half we had more problems to make our build up, but a good game. So in terms of consistent, so we didn't concede one shot on target. We were not lucky because football is like this, but the score in the last minute of the first half helped us a lot. And in the second half they pushed more. It was more difficult to make our game, to find the people. Some people were tired, but we did it.
How happy then? How much satisfaction do you take from being back on top of the Premier League now?
Well, we'll have one more game. So we have one more game. It's good, you know. Being top in the table is much better, but Liverpool has to play this game in Old Trafford, and it's not think too much about that really. It's now having an incredible test next Sunday, and Cup Champions League start again. So don't think too much about to be in the first or second. Important, of course. We could have done 1 month 10 points behind. 4 or 5 days ago we could be 7 points behind, and now we are first. So that is a good lesson to never give up. So many things is going to happen until the end of the season. We are going to drop points, and hopefully the opponents can drop too.
He was happy. Not getting carried away, though, was he? But it must have been a nice feeling last night to leapfrog Liverpool, albeit they've played the game more now, but the goal difference is better. What do you think? Where are we now with the title race?
I think psychologically that's massive to go top of the league. You know, it's been a while since they've been up there. Perhaps that might be a little bit more pressure off Liverpool now. You know, they're not there to be shot at.
They're now the chasers.
Still got a game in hand. We know that. Liverpool would have took this at the beginning of the season. 13 games to go. If they win their game in hand, 3 points clear. They're still in great condition here, Liverpool. You know, it's not ever wrong, but if I looked at both squads, I just feel Man City are so strong. In depth, they've got so many players they can leave out of their squad. Someone else comes in and does a brilliant job.
What is it with Liverpool, do you think, at the moment? I mean, it's a couple of draws. They've only lost one game all season. Is it injuries? Is it nerves? What do you put it down to?
More injuries than nerves, I would suggest, with 13 games left in the season. When we start getting to single digits, then they can start feeling nervy. And believe me, it's going to get very, very nervy. I've been there myself. You know, it's very edgy coming into the run-in. At the moment, they're jockeying. They're in a fantastic position. But they've been crippled with injuries in defensive areas, especially on the right backs. That's why I'm so surprised they let Nathaniel Klein leave to go to Bournemouth. I think they should have kept hold of him. I think they need bodies in the building.
You say that. They have got a right back in their ranks in Fabinho. He played 80 times there for Monaco, so he could easily be playing there. And he could have been playing Milner in central midfield.
But why would you leave yourself short? You know, you've got injuries. I mean, Fabinho's at the moment is having to play in midfield because Henderson's injured. So they've got important players missing at the moment. They cannot rest their most important players, which are the front three. Yeah. And Van Dijk is crucial to them. So whereas Man City have got an abundance of riches there, you know, and you never know. Even them players at Man City don't know which team Pep Guardiola is going to pick. You know, he's picking a team an hour before kickoff. They're none the wiser who's going to play. It could be anyone, and they all played a part in this title push. You know, to regain the title, we know how difficult that can be. But Man City are on track to do it. If I had to pick one now, I'd say Man City. You know, I think Liverpool are in a fantastic condition. But for me, Man City.
Do you say City because of the depth in their squad? And let's look at the benches from their last 2 matches. And I guess straight away you're looking at City's bench and the players that can come on and change the game. Sterling, De Bruyne, Mahrez, Jesus. That's pretty frightening, isn't it?
Yeah, and you got Mendy, who's probably the only one in their squad who's injured at the moment. So they are very healthy. They're a healthy squad, whereas Liverpool are a wee bit depleted.
And do you feel like City have had their injuries? I mean, Like De Bruyne has
You
missed
could
the
pick him
first
up
half
at-
of the season.
You could pick him up at any stage. I think that they cope so well with it. De Bruyne has been missing. You've had Jesus missing at times. You've had Aguero missing at times. They don't seem to miss it. They can cope with it because they've got a genius of a manager who just changes and tweaks the way they play to suit the squad who he's got.
It's frightening, isn't it? Let's have a look at the fixtures this weekend, because you'd think City have got the tougher task. Yeah. Liverpool at home to Bournemouth. Now, that could be nervy.
Yeah.
Although Bournemouth's away form hasn't been particularly good, has it?
No. I expect Liverpool to beat Bournemouth, especially at Anfield. It will get edgy. If you're in the Bournemouth dressing room, if you're Eddie Howe, you're telling the boys to keep it tight. Mm-hmm. Keep it tight. The longer it keeps tight, if you can
make them nervous.
If you can get to half-time and it's still 0-0, you know, at edgy. It's 29 years since Liverpool won a title. That expectancy and that pressure is mounting game by game. The nearer they get to the line, it's mounting. It's interesting, Pep Guardiola, after the game, they're talking this game up already. Managers normally talk the game down, but he's saying Chelsea's a cup final. Chelsea is a cup final. And we saw celebrations last year. There was a game with about 10 games to go and they won it. And it was the unbelievable reaction from the bench when they won the game. And I think you'll get this again. I believe they will beat Chelsea at home. I think Chelsea will be a difficult game for them, but Man City will get the job done.
Just before we go to the City-Chelsea game, Spurs at home to Leicester.
Yeah.
Are they in it?
I think they're in it. I think they're the outside of the three. But if Tottenham can win every game between now and the end of the season, they will win the league. They have to go away Anfield. They have to go away to the Etihad. They have to go to Stamford Bridge, Chelsea. They've got a North London derby against Arsenal. So they've got it all to do. They've got it all to do. It doesn't sound good on paper.
Sorry about that, Spurs fans.
But they can win games. Listen, the last two games against Watford and Newcastle, they haven't played well. Maximum points. That's a good side.
Yeah, late goals as well. This is the big game, though. City against Chelsea at the Etihad. It's so difficult to try and pick a City lineup, isn't it? Because, as you quite rightly say, they chop, they change. He's played last week Fernandinho in the back four and then then going into midfield. The front six was the one that lined up against Newcastle when they got beat. That on paper you'd probably say is his best front six. Yes? No?
Well, who knows? Who knows? I mean, only Pep would know. It's horses for courses. He looks at the opposition and he'll say, well, these guys, maybe I'll rest De Bruyne for next week. Listen, you don't know what goes on in his head, but what he does do, he concentrates on his own and stimulating his own squad of players, and he keeps them guessing all the time, and that's what keeps them concentrated. You know, the likes when he put Fernandinho into the back four, you know, and he steps in possession. It's a genius move.
And the players didn't know until an hour before.
It keeps them sharp, keeps them on their toes. Laporte playing left back all of a sudden out of nowhere. He's decided to do that. Zinchenko sitting on the bench. Mendy injured. Probably sways his decision there. But when you've got that many players, it's not about formations for Pep. It's about the principles of how he wants to play and balancing off and getting... Listen, they could play different ways. We know Liverpool are all out. They need to play. They need spacing behind. They need their front three to get at teams. With Man City, they can do that with the best of them. They can counter-attack with the best of them, but they can also mesmerise. They can also pass. They can also open up teams. They've got guile. They've got guile in abundance with the two Silver boys and Raheem Sterling and Sane. They can play different ways. Liverpool, for me, are one-dimensional. They ain't doing bad being one-dimensional, by the way.
Exactly.
They're doing very, very well. But that's what gives them the edge. I think there's three top managers. Poch, Klopp, Pep. But there's one genius, Pep Guardiola.
Well, let's see. Fernandinho's probably their go-to man. You know that he's going to play most weeks. Before we look at last night's game, what about him in this game against Arsenal then? Because you mentioned it about him playing in a back four, going into the midfield, dropping back again. I mean, how difficult is that?
No, for a player like him and with the players he's got in and around him, these are all clever footballers. You don't get stupid footballers at Man City. They need to have a clever mind. They need to be capable of playing. They need to adapt. They have to adapt to different positions, different formations, and it's about the principle. But he's the manager on the pitch. You watch him in these clips here. He's a manager. He knows out of position he drops into the back four. In possession he steps into the midfield. But he makes sure he gets the... We talked about it. These players here, they didn't know what to expect. Pep just tweaks it. He knows he's got bright guys here who can adapt and they can implement what he's trying to tell them. But he's telling them very, very late in the day. You know, so they can't leak any information to the opposition, not that they would. And it's impossible for the opposition manager to second guess what Man City are going to do.
Yeah, I mean, remember that image, because that's Fernandinho in a back four. But this is against Arsenal. But look, I mean, it is 5-5 though, isn't it?
It's 5-5 at times, but I think one thing what they do, they're happy with their centre backs to defend on their own at times, you know, and they push everyone forward. But what they try and do is just keep the opposition back in the final third. And in their final third, they just push them back and back and back, time and time again, and they work overloads down the side.
It's still 5-5. This is last night.
Yeah.
If you're Marco's sort of watching this, different people though, different personnel. But this is Fernandinho in the position that we expect. So we'd have watched the Arsenal game thinking, right, Fernandinho's going to play in the back four. He's going to come into midfield. He's had probably had plans how to deal with that. Yeah. And now all of a sudden it's back to perhaps how we're used to seeing Fernandinho.
OK, so Maurizio Sarri is watching 2 games, isn't he? He's asked his
So that's what I'm asking you. So you're Maurizio Sarri. Now, what do you do?
No, you've got to try and... it's impossible to try and stop them because you don't know what they're going to do. What you have to do is try and implement yourself on them. They've got good players, Chelsea.
And they've beaten City once already.
We know on their day they can cause them a big problem. It's going to be tough. Going to the Etihad is always going to be tough. But they're capable. We have to say they're capable. But to try to get a plan to stop Man City... Or a team like Chelsea, you forget it because you don't know what you're going to get.
No.
Well, you know you're going to get fantastic players in every position. And you know they can counter you. And you know they can play in tight areas.
I know all that. But what we don't know is who's going to play. And actually, the last 2 games, we've seen Gundogan and Bernardo Silva in the starting 11. And, you know, De Bruyne on the bench last night, Sterling on the bench last night. And yet these 2 have played the last 2 games.
Bernardo Silva played against Liverpool and was outstanding.
He was, yeah.
And
in a different position.
In that central midfield role. He was tackling people. He was getting back round, stopping counter-attacks, then setting Man City off on their way. And now he's playing loose off the sides with a full-back going around him. You know, all the same. So.
What about Sergio Aguero then? Because it was another 3 last week against Arsenal. His record against the Big Six, coming up against the Big Six team this week in Chelsea, it's frightening, isn't it? He's so far ahead of second best. Yeah. Harry Kane's got 21. All right, Aguero's probably played more games, but his goals per game is the best as well.
Well, he comes to the party, doesn't he, for the big occasion. So without doubt, when we talked about we don't know who's going to play, he'll play. He will play at the weekend in front of Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, 1,000,000% you have to put him in your team. If someone wanted to say to me that he's the best striker the Premier League's ever seen, I think they'd have a fair argument. You know, I would say Alan Shearer because I'm biased because I played with him and I know what he was capable of. But this kid is outstanding. I think we've been blessed to see him in the Premier League for such a long time.
So you're saying top 3
yes,
of all time?
Without doubt, along with Henry, Shearer.
Shearer above Drogba, because Drogba scored goals in big games. He's cup finals. He got 10 in 10 cup finals.
He did, and Drogba, you can't knock Drogba. Drogba was a goal scorer, and they won trophies in the time he was there. But this guy's won trophies as well. You know, different types of strikers, weren't they? But you know, if anyone wanted to argue, it was hard for me to put up an argument against him.
He's been top class, that's for sure. Let's have a look at some of his goals against the Big Six over his time at the club. I mean, it's all types of goals as well, isn't it? I know we've talked about 6 yards last week against Arsenal, but...
See, that's not a chance.
Well,
that's a chance out of nothing.
This is not a chance.
That's not a chance. You know, it's just... But look, he just passed it into the net. I mean, we knew we had something special on our hands in the Premier League, didn't we? It was fantastic. When we saw him scoring these goals early on, could he continue doing it? And he's just proved the point that he can. Yeah. He just loves it.
I love this goal. I think this is a brilliant goal. He's hiding behind Lovren, sneaks in front of him, smashes it in.
Well, his only place to score was there, you know, left foot, right foot. He scores a lot of headers as well, you know, the diving header there. Anyway, he scores a lot of his arm also. Anytime he can get the ball in the net, he doesn't care how he does it.
The goal scorers never do that, do they?
Why should you?
It's all about putting the ball in the back of the net. It really is. Let's go to the lineups again, because it's so difficult to pick City's team. Chelsea's team, I think we're pretty sure that Higuain will play.
I think so.
And I think it's pretty clear that Hazard will play.
Yeah, Maurizio Sarri has gone all out, hasn't he, for Higuain, and Mr. Abramovich has given him his wish. Listen, Higuain's got an easier transition because he knows Sarri inside out. He played with him at Napoli. He probably knows the Sarri way more than any of that squad of Chelsea. So it's all about them adapting to the way Higuain wants to play, and I think that they seem to have taken it on. We've had
a couple of chances to look at him, we've picked out the last game against Huddersfield because he scored a couple of goals. And then sharp finish as well.
The movement towards Kante was crucial because it just... The defender just goes towards the ball and he just slips in behind him, and the first time swivel and hit. That is Higuain in a nutshell there.
Do you think Hazard will enjoy playing with him? Because Hazard at the start of the season said, Giroud, I love playing with Olivier Giroud. We link up really well. Great partnership. Didn't really feel that with Morata, did you?
I think Eden was saying that because he didn't want to play as the 9. So play anyone but me as a false 9. I want to play off the left. I want to come in free on my right side and play where I'm preferred. And without doubt, he's preferred to play off the left-hand side there, Eden Hazard, and coming in. Of course he enjoys playing with Higuain. He's a world-class player.
Yeah, well, against Huddersfield, Hazard and Higuain were quite close together as well. I know you're saying he's off that left-hand side. He doesn't really stay there, does he?
He doesn't, but he drifts.
Involved.
He comes out here because he can't get marked.
Yeah.
And then when he drifts in here, everyone leaves him to each other. They think the midfield are going to take care of him. The centre-half will come out there, which he doesn't want to do. Full-back doesn't want to follow him into these areas. So he plays loose as much as you want him. And he likes the tension as well. He can play with people on his back. I mean, we can talk all we want about Higuain. Yeah. Eden Hazard is the best player.
That's that close. One touch as well. You're saying round the corner. That's what they do a lot when they're playing there.
One touch. And so... Higuain wants to play one touch, then he wants to get yourself in between the width of the goal and score goals. He will only get better from what we've seen. We have to point out that this is Huddersfield. This is a team struggling in the Premier League at the moment, and this is at home. Chelsea would expect to win this football match, and Higuain would expect it to get chances, but he still has to do it. He has to do it, and he done it very, very well. I mean, it must be a dream for Higuain playing with that little fella.
Yeah.
I mean, he's looking for him every time he gets the ball, and he opens up teams and he creates chances for you. There, one touch again.
What about Hazard? I mean, he says he's made his mind up about where he'll be next season. Where do you think that'll be?
Well, I think it's Real Madrid. I think Chelsea are a massive football club in their own right. Massive football club. I don't believe he'll go to another team in the Premier League. And if he wants to leave, he's got to go to one of the biggest clubs in the world, which is Real Madrid. I think that's where he's going to end up.
Well, apparently there's talk about them wanting Neymar as well. If you had a choice, Neymar or Hazard, would you?
Hazard, yes.
Why? Yes. You didn't think about it?
No. I did for a long time.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Neymar in England, see how he does.
Yeah.
I think that's the obvious choice now. What would happen?
Well, I think he'd struggle a bit because I think he'd get kicked. And Hazard deals with that. He's been most fouled in the Premier League this season, and yet he deals with it, doesn't he?
He does. He gets up, and he's had. Sarri's not said some pleasant things about him in recent weeks, but he just gets on with it.
Yeah.
He just knows how good he is. I think I'm delighted that we've been around, and I have an opportunity to talk about Chelsea and all these teams on TV and talk about a little genius like Eden Hazard. Yeah. He's fantastic for the game. We all love to see Eden Hazard play.
And he's capable of doing damage to City, isn't he, this weekend? How do they cope? How do they cope with these two then? I mean, we talked about Fernandinho and how he played in that defence against Arsenal. Can't see that happening, can you, against Chelsea? Because...
God, who knows? I mean, we're talking about Pep Guardiola here. You know, he's got something up his sleeve, isn't he? I mean, yes, he will look at Chelsea, but he will look at Eden Hazard. But he'll look at him for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's all. And then he worries about what his team's going to do. If his team play well and take their chances, they beat Chelsea. They beat anyone, Matt, if they're on their form. That's what Man City are all about. They've got more threats. Well, we're talking about them. We're talking about Eden Hazard and Higuain. Yes, Willian's a good player. Kante, they're all got good. They're good world-class players all over the pitch. But this is the team. This is the team he'll be worrying himself about. He won't have sleepless nights over Chelsea's team. He'll have sleepless nights over how well his team's going to play.
Do you think Bernardo Silva will play? Because even this week he's talked about it. At the start of the season he said it's Bernardo Silva and 10 others. Even this week he said Bernardo Silva's my main man. He's even said, surely he'll play, won't he?
I think he plays instead of Sane.
Do you?
Yeah. So I think if there is going to be a change, I think he'll play instead of Sane.
And how do they then... Do you think they'll put David Silva up here? More like that?
It's not about the formation, it's about the principle of how they play. If he ends up out there, then David Silva will come and do that. If Ferradino goes in there, De Bruyne goes in there. It's so fluid, the way they play. They know it. They balance the team off.
Although it might actually be... Because Sterling, the last couple of games, Bernardo Silva's there and Sterling has played there.
It could be anything. I mean, we could spend so much time on the board, like trying to second-guess Pep Guardiola. We never get it right.
No.
We never get it right. But what we do know is that they're capable of playing in different ways. Whatever the conundrum is, they'll find a way. That's what they do. They do that because they've got fantastic tools to work with. Pep Guardiola has in these players. They're all world-class players. They've got pace. They've got guile. They've got people who can play in a telephone box. You know, if they squeeze the pitch up, they're brilliant. You know, the technique is fantastic. They're a wonderful team to watch. That is why we love them so much.
Dress rehearsal for the League Cup final. Fancy City?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I don't see City tripping up here. Pep is talking it up. He's talking it up where other managers would talk this game down. He knows how big this is. He's trying to put pressure on his starting 11. Not only the starting 11, we talked about the strength what they have in depth, who can come on and win the game from the bench, whoever it may be.
Yeah. I mean, look, Chelsea are capable, aren't they, with someone like Hazard in their team. But I think I'm with you as well, Tim. I think City will do it this weekend as well. It's a fascinating game. We're looking forward to it. OK, time for a break. When we return, we're going to turn our attention to Wolves and look at the impact they've made in the Premier League. Promoted last season, Nuno Espirito Santo certainly enjoying life in the Premier League. We'll be back shortly.